everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. I'm so excited today. We have another one of our Hallmark authors. We're talking not just screenwriters, we're talking the Hallmark Publishing books. We're talking to Cassidy Carter today. And I'm Rachel, and I'm here. And Lisa is also here today.
Hi, guys.
Yes, thanks so much. And Cassidy, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I love listening to you guys. It's so much fun. My day gets so busy, and sometimes just catching up with your podcast is how I actually stay abreast of all the Hallmark stuff. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Thank you. And so what we like to do in our interviews is to ask our guests to introduce yourself and tell us what inspired you to become a writer.
So I'm Cassidy Carter. I am the author of the novelization of The Perfect Catch for Hallmark. And my next book coming up is Love on Location. It's a Hallmark original, and it is coming out this month. As far as writing goes, gosh, I've written as long as I can remember. In the tiny little town I grew up in, there was a used bookstore, and I was able to spend my allowance money on books, which is what I always wanted to spend it on anyway. And there was always a bin of romance in this used bookstore, and they were $0.25 a piece. And so my money would really, really stretch. And I was just a rabid reader when I was young that it just kind of made sense to me to buy myself stacks and stacks of romance, because, when you're a kid, and you're going through books left and right, you want to read a lot. And there's so many genres. There were so many authors that I got to read, and so it just kind of sparked a love of romance really early. I was probably 13, and I would just devour them. And so I always loved to write. I would carry notebooks around and write stories in them when I was young. And as I got older, loving reading and loving writing just kind of turned into, well, hey, I'm going to try this romance thing. And I guess here I am. Not a kid anymore, but I love to read them still, and I love to write them.
Mm-hmm. Did that get you into trouble sometimes as a kid? Or
I think my parents probably should have paid better attention to me, but they didn't pay attention to what I was reading. But for the most part, I kept it pretty tame, the categories, and believe it, a lot of Grace Livingston Hill, which I really loved when I was young. But I'm sure a few that I shouldn't have read slipped in there, but I think category romance especially is such a good, primer just on character and writing in general that, I don't know, I got an early education in romance, and it's never a bad thing when your kids are reading.
Uh-huh. No,
right.
That's awesome. Because that's the way I go with my own kids. I'm like, whatever you want to read. Read. There's really no limits. Unless something's hardcore violent or something, I'm just
right.
I want you to, because I don't ever want it to feel like a chore or something's wrong,
Right.
I'm like, we all snuck in there and
oh yeah,
read our little book. So
oh yeah, I had the Fabio pirate book, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
And I don't even know, what is the categories? What's that?
So category romance. You remember the Harlequin red bands? The Sheik's Accidental Bride, and the Cowboy's Secret Baby, and they're all a little, you sit down, you could read them in a couple of hours, and that was just my love back in the day.
Yeah. I do love to go into my Audible account and read the summaries on some of these erotica books. They are hilarious. They just crack me up. So many of them, it's so funny to me because so many of them are about people that are forced to marry, depending on the time period the thing's set in, and then they end up falling in love. It's some kind of forced arranged kind of thing. It's what's going on here? That is really funny. Well, I was reading in your interview with Ruth Hill that you said that you have a kind of a spicy pseudonym.
I
do. You write under?
I do. So I don't currently write under that pen name.
Okay.
It might kind of come back. I started with Carina Press back in 2009 when they first launched, and under the pen name Ginny Glass. And I had 8 titles with them, 2 series.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a really, really fun. And I do love writing, different heat levels of romance. I kind of love both sides for different reasons. And just kind of came back to writing after a break when I had my children, and just sweet romance kind of fits for me right now. So, but Ginny Glass pen name, it could definitely come back in the future, because, like I said, I love both sides for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did you decide on that pen name, Ginny
Uh,
Glass?
Ginny Glass. Oh, so I'm a big J.D. Salinger fan, and the Glass family is actually his family. And so I wanted something with a little alliteration in it there, Ginny Glass, and which kind of uh, bounced me into Cassidy Carter, and Carter's for Linda Carter, who played Wonder
Yes, that's amazing. And I love that.
Woman. And so I don't know, just a little
Oh, that's
trivia.
fabulous.
Oh, so you get to make up all kinds of names. That
All
would be so
kinds. I have the
fun.
whole alphabet, girls. Who knows how many pen names I got going out there?
Yeah. Sometimes I try and think if
Um,
I ever, I mean, not that I will because I'm not a writer, but I think what would be my pen? And I just come up with random ones. I'm just like, this would work. This
Well,
would
there you
work.
go. There you go.
Not for any reason, just because I'm obsessed with the whole pseudonym like idea. I just, yeah.
Maybe you need a podcast name. Like you come
Oh,
on in like a blonde wig and you're just like,
yes. That's a good
yeah,
idea. And I can dig out all my pseudonyms and be one of
that's
those
right.
people. Oh, okay.
A different
Um,
a different interviewer every week.
yes.
it's so
That'd be
funny. My
awesome.
sister's a published author, does picture books right now.
Hmm.
But growing up, for some bizarre reason, she always wanted to be called Gretel. And I was just, that, you should make that your name.
But your last name has to start with G now because all the cool kids are doing it.
Yes.
Oh,
Gretel.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm into
Yeah,
that.
I don't know what, that would be good.
Gretel
Greta
Garbo.
Gerwig or something.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing.
You can have that one.
So,
You can have that one.
very cool. So how many total books have you written?
So I guess I have 8 titles, and the second series with Karina is an anthology. I guess if we count titles, Love on Location is my 10th.
That's
Amazing.
exciting. Yeah.
That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah. That's very impressive. So do you have like a process that you do as far as coming up with characters and story and all of that? Kind of, what you do to kind of get your ideas for stories?
Oh God, they come from all over there. I have an idea folder, and I'm sure most writers have this. I have an idea folder on my computer, and so much stuff is in there that, like, sometimes I'll just go in there and look and be like, what did I think of 6 months ago or a year ago? If I'm somewhere, in a setting, it's really something good I'd be like, oh, this would be an awesome place to set a book. I'll write myself a note, and there'll be a file there for, an idea to do with a certain location, or if I'm watching a movie, or if I hear something that sounds like a really good title. It can really come from anywhere. So process wise, it can start from a million different places, and then of course, like most writers, I'll probably go to Google and research a certain place. Like I just tweeted a really cool castle in Portugal, and I was like, wouldn't that be a cool place to set a book? And so then I go research it, and I don't know, maybe there's a legend that there used, some old queen disappeared in there, and that would be something cool to add in. So it kind of just grows from there. It always starts with like a little germ of an idea. I love old movies. It can come just really from anywhere at all.
Like, do you like in terms of like, are you an outline person, or do you just kind of like gather ideas and like, so when you're writing, if you're writing a scene and you're like, oh, this is great, but then it ends up not working, do you store it away for later and maybe put it in another book or another?
Sometimes I'm a little more likely to just like kill my darlings. If something doesn't work, like I will just cut it unless there's a particular line that I really love, and I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
love that he said that to her. I'll save the line maybe.
Oh, I
But
got you.
yeah, if something's not working, like I have no problem whatsoever like axing like words.
Really?
Like, this doesn't work, let's just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because like again, my idea folder would be full of stuff that I've cut from a thing because as you guys probably know from having talked to lots of authors, it's a process, and a lot of times stuff gets left on the editing room floor and you have to go
Yeah.
in and rework stuff, and but it's good, it is a process, and it ends up working in the end, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm always excited. I'm always like, I wonder if there was, because sometimes when you're reading and that something happens and that there was a scene that isn't in the book that had to have happened to lead to this moment.
Right.
I'm always like, I wonder if they actually wrote that and it's somewhere in a folder somewhere, and it's because it helped them get to this point just in their minds. And I wish it's almost like cut, extended scenes or like deleted scenes.
Right. Like
I'm always
deleted scenes from a
I
thing.
wish I could read that conversation that probably had to happen to make this moment happen. Oh,
yeah, I don't write those out. No, that's a good question. I don't write those out. I especially for like Love on Location, I had an outline, and I actually had an outline that was very close to the way scenes break down in a Hallmark movie. And
nice.
so I tried to keep writing Love on Location like very tight, and I tried not to, I don't necessarily need to know, I don't need to have written out, stuff that happens like in between those scenes.
Right.
But that's really cool. Maybe I should write that for my next book, and it should be like something special that I just released on like Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So, because I'm glad you said that, because as I was reading Love on Location, I mean, I watch a lot of Hallmark, obviously. But in coming as a Hallmark book, I kind of went into it in that frame of mind as a Hallmark movie. And it actually did have a lot of the pacing of the movie. And I kept like drawing characters from different Hallmark movies and be like, maybe this, I could totally see this, and I could see it playing out. And I was just like, okay, this would be a really fun Hallmark movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Say that louder.
I know.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm going to be on Twitter. I'll be like, listen, Bill Abbott.
Let's talk, Bill. Call me Bill.
And Michelle Vickery. I'll be like, listen.
Yeah. They're still planning summer nights. This totally.
That's right. They got time.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, they could fit it like anywhere. They could do it at Fall
Anywhere.
Harvest.
It's so easy. I already planned it out like it was a movie.
Yeah. It's really good. Well, so speaking of that, so you did the novelization for The Perfect Catch.
Mm-hmm.
And how was that? Was that challenging to write a book based on a movie like that?
It is a little challenging, and it's not the writing itself, because you get like a ton of really good material to work from. You get the script, you get the movie, and you can go back through it over and over and over again, make sure that you catch like everything. I think the challenge with novelizations is that you really want to kind of expand it. You get a lot more leeway, a lot more room in a novel for the detail, for the backstory. Nobody knows looking at a screen, what's inside a character's head. But you get that opportunity in the novelization, but you don't want to go so far afield that you're, not being respectful, that you're not honoring the original material. You don't want to change it into something that it was completely different from what all those people intended in the first place. And that's one of my favorites, Perfect Catch. It's just so good, it's so sweet, it just like gets you in the heart. And but I just think it's nice for people who have seen the movie to get that little extra. You get to know why characters did a certain thing, why they reacted the way they did, and it just gets a little deeper than necessarily have time for, during the movie.
You get to get in their brain, because in the movie, all you see is someone watch somebody say something and hear half of it and turn around and walk away. And you're just like, why did you walk away? You stay. And then in the book, you hear them go through the entire thing in their head of why they're walking away and why they're upset. And
I know.
So I'm glad. I'm on board with the novelizations. We have a whole
so
wall
fun.
of them. Yes.
They're so fun.
Well, and it must have been fun to have Andrew Walker in your head for however long it took you.
I mean, there are worse people, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, was Hallmark very particular though? I mean, about they're over there. I know they're so careful about their product they produce. Here, adapting one of their films, were they pretty careful about what you could include, what you could add to, what you couldn't add to, that kind of a thing?
Well, they give me there's a process. There's an editorial process. So you're never
Uh-huh.
just turning something in and then of course you just get, they make sure that your punctuation's in the right place and send it off. There's people that it goes through and they're making sure that you're on brand and
Right.
but just being a fan of Hallmark and having read, a good deal of sweet romance, I was kind of familiar with kind of where to go and where not to. And you're kind of in the boundaries of the movie. You're not all of a sudden going to have, the son in The Perfect Catch, run away from home and join a circus or, a rock band or,
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's a
Right.
troubled youth, who's piercing his nose and stuff like that. So again, you do have like a really good framework. It's just, I tried to really focus in Perfect Catch on more of the love story and the emotion and the relationships and stuff like that, because the story itself, as far as the Hallmark elements and everything like that, it was perfect. And it didn't need a little more, but readers like that little bit more. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that phrase, sweet romance.
Sweet romance.
That really just captured it well. My favorite part of the Perfect Catch is him making his checklist, his list of his pros and cons list.
I know.
That was so romantic.
I know.
I love that.
I know.
So good.
Oh, I know.
Because I'm a list maker, so I think that's the biggest difference between Amber and I, because she's more spontaneous than I am, and whereas like I have I'll have my like lists of notes and my okay, I gotta talk about this, and then she's like, just let it flow, it'll be good. But
I have to make lists to get things done. So I'm like a split. I'm like a little split. I have to make sure that I write lists so that I, checklists for stuff to get finished and accomplished. But personality wise, like I'll be a little more spontaneous. So, let's take off and go somewhere like that. I don't need to plan necessarily everything, but I need to remind myself of stuff a lot. That's what my lists are for.
Well, Rachel, I'm like you. I need it all written down. I need to know what's happening. Otherwise, I'm like, chaos.
Yeah.
But so you wrote the novelization for The Perfect Catch, but would you ever think about writing a screenplay?
I would love to write a screenplay. I don't know what the process is, jumping from the book side of things to the screenplay side of things. But like I said, I'm such a big Hallmark movie fan and just, who knows what's in the future, but I think
you could write the screenplay from your own book, but
I could write the screenplay. You need to be making this list. Are you putting this down on your list?
Yes, I am like in my Hallmark ideas.
Yes. You said you have a direct line to the top.
I'm gonna try.
Right.
Number
one, make Love on Location into a movie. Number 2, let Cassidy
write the screenplay. Check.
I really appreciate your help. This is good.
Yeah, we'll be all over it. It would be great.
I'll start a hashtag campaign. I'll just get the ball rolling.
Yeah. So you have this Love on Location, this your first for Hallmark original story. And so congratulations, that's so exciting. It's going to be coming out tomorrow when this airs, March 12th, correct? And it'll be available on audiobook, which I'm so excited about because that helps me so much. I'm a big audiobook person.
Yes.
Yeah. And so how did you get the idea for this novel?
So my husband and I are huge fans of reality, not general reality TV, but the business makeover shows. You guys ever watch like The Prophet and Gordon Ramsay, and they come in and they make over the failing business, and then we go up to Northern Arizona a lot, Flagstaff and Williams, Arizona. It's just really kind of different than down here in the desert. Lots of trees, lots of pines. I was just saying we got some weather through, and down here, we didn't get anything but a cold snap, but up in Flagstaff there was 38 inches of snow. So it's like a whole nother world up there, it's just very rural and very rustic. It's just very picturesque. And so setting wise, like I said, a lot of times stories will come to me based on the place that I would like to set them. And so this is just really inspiring. We go camping up there a lot. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to set something in a campground? And it kind of just merged with, well, what if that, it's a Hallmark trope and it's one of my favorite ones. What if the campground wasn't doing so well? And who does that put stress on? Well, obviously it would put stress on who owned it. Now, who's going to own it? Is it going to be our hero? Is it going to be our heroine? Well, that's our hero in Love on Location, but our heroine is his best friend that has been helping him run the place, and they've known each other since childhood, and there's a whole zany family of secondary characters that help them run. The Cabin's in the Pines. There's a diner on site called the Bean Pot, run by a sassy waitress there, and just there's a whole little world there, and it just started from being up in that beautiful place with all the trees, surrounded by nothing but nature, and thinking like, this is a great place, to kind of get away, and it would be a fantastic place for a love story.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, we've had the chance to read it, and I really enjoyed it. I thought you did a good job sort of building that tension between the two of them, because this is, obviously a type of romance that we've seen a lot before. The BFF that is obviously in love with the heroine, and she just can't see it for some reason until finally she does. And I appreciated the fact that there was no real wrong guy in this. That it, because that can just be kind of it can work sometimes, but sometimes it can be a little annoying. It was just, she just needed to get to that spot where she realized that he was the best, and he, her love. And so I really enjoyed it. And I don't know, Lisa, what did you think about what were some of your favorite parts of the book?
Okay, I'm with you that yes, there was no, love triangle thing that you had to worry about. And I also like that despite all of the predicaments and problems, and even when it came to the relationship between Wyatt and Delaney, Delaney still wasn't a fold in on herself. I can't work, I can't do anything because I don't know what this means with Wyatt, and I don't know. She was just a go-getter, and I just like that she just kept going and kept being okay, no matter what, we got to make this work, and I'm here for a reason, and we're going to make it work. And I loved that. And I also loved that even though I was like, I'm sure this is going to end out with a happy ending.
Right.
I was still guessing I was like, how is this going to be resolved? And I had an actual okay, it has to be this. And when it wasn't that, I was really pleasantly surprised. And I just
okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I didn't want anybody to guess the end. No spoilers. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
But that was actually one of the challenges, was when I got to the end, I was like, I didn't want to leave the book, despite, like you said, the challenges, and, I'm going to let everybody discover it when they read. But despite kind of the way that it appears to be going as they're going through the book, and who is going to turn out to, come out on top, and who is going to be kind of like disappointed in the end, I didn't want to leave it so that there was any negative feelings at the end, because we all know there's going to be a happily ever after, because it's Hallmark, and of course it's a romance, and there has to be a happily ever after. But I didn't want it to be at the expense of anything else.
Yeah. Well, what I think was really smart is because the Save the Farm plotline is my least favorite plotline. I just, most of the time, it's just so unbelievable. There's just no stakes, and so it's really boring. Usually, it's I know that the bookstore or the barn or the whatever it is that's trying to be saved, it's going to be saved,
right?
And so there's just no tension. But what I think that made this interesting is because you kind of had this layer of the reality TV. We weren't asking, is the camp going to be saved? You're asking, how is it going to be saved by this show? And how is it all going to work out? It kind of added another element in there, which was which made it more interesting.
Right. And
So,
one of the things with, the TV show coming in is what, as you see, you probably, if anybody does watch the Change the Business shows, Say the Business shows, you wonder, like, is it going to change into something completely different by the end? And what of the original thing, which Cabins in the Pines is something that's been in the hero's family for generations, is the thing that's going to change the most important thing? Is the essence of the place going to be what they give up? Physical buildings aside, or renovations aside, or whatever the show comes in to do for this place, is what they're going to be asked to do for success going to change, what's important about the place. And, some of that is the legacy that comes from the hero's family, and some of that is the people that are involved in running the place. Are we going to have to change something to do with them significantly? And in essence, is that going to break up this little family that they've all created and struggled together and kind of try to save this thing themselves before they invite the show in?
mm-hmm.
Well, so I also like that Alexandra, the actual, the main person of the reality show. Yes, the host. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry. She was slightly villainous, which I always enjoy. She was a little like, because sometimes in these stories, you have the quote unquote bad character that, the antagonist is supposed to be in there throwing you all kinds of stuff. But and some of it's fun, and then sometimes I'm like, I just want them to be a little more lifetimey and not so much Hallmark.
Right. I mean, nobody gets stabbed in this. Just so you guys know.
Camp Crystal Lake, where people are,
right.
But she was slightly villainous. Like,
she was the mouse, right?
She was slightly villainous, but she was like reasonable. Like all of her actions for somebody that's running this kind of show felt reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Like, I think that for the most part. No, you disagree?
No, I liked it.
Yeah. But I can picture that somebody kind of running that kind of show would be motivated to make the decisions she makes. Like it didn't feel too out there. But yeah, no, I liked her, and she kind of gets worn down by the charm of this of this Cabin in the Pines. So by the end, so that's fun. That was a fun arc, I think, to see. But the most villainous part about her is like, is she interested in Wyatt? Like that's the whole part that's the most kind of. So the rest of the stuff, it's like, oh, she's just a Hollywood person,
right?
But you're like, oh no, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Right. That's good. We're gonna keep guessing. That's another.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep guessing.
Yeah. Very good. So, do you go to a camp like Cabin in the Pines, or was it just sort of the overall idea of the outdoors?
No, there's all kinds of campgrounds up in northern Arizona. I mean, there's KOAs, there's like Bureau of Land Management land, there's private campgrounds kind of all over the place. And so actually when I was planning out the Pines, I took a couple maps of campgrounds that we've been to and said, okay, well, it'd be really nice if we had this little piece of it. It'd be really nice if, maybe we had the RV plug-ups over here, and these are tent spaces over here, and we have a couple of yurts over here, and just all the little rusticy things that we've seen in our camping travels that kind of mesh together, and it's like a little mishmash of all the places we've been.
Well, it sounded amazing. And every time, and in the descriptions that came up of the actual campground, I mean, I've been camping. I mean, I'm from Texas, and so we would go camping all the time, and it really made me want to be there.
Yes.
Just be here. And every time it was like they were sitting out somewhere and the like breeze, or they'd hear like hear by the lake, I was like, oh, this reminds me so much of summer.
I know.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
And everybody's coming out of winter, and just they need like that breeze and the bees buzzing around, and the fireflies coming up when it's twilight. Like, I know.
Oh, it made me.
What are we doing on this podcast? Let's go to the lake.
I know it, because I mean, like right now, all I see out my window is snow. So I'm like, so to read that was a little touch of summer in my living room.
Oh God.
We'll have to invite you, Cassidy, to our fantasy writers retreat thing that we talked about with Julie Sherman Wolfe and Nina Weinman.
Wow.
We're going to make all these It's like, what's an excuse for us to Tracy and Green? It's gonna be
Is there a potluck? I will come.
yeah. Okay. Yes. So yeah. So you, because the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking more of HGTV shows for some reason. I don't know why, but you're right.
Yeah.
It is more like the
I was thinking
profit
Kitchen
shows like
Nightmares. I was
Right.
thinking
Yeah.
Kitchen Nightmares with like
The
you said earlier,
Prophet,
Gordon Ramsay.
Hotel
Yeah.
Hell. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just like,
So do you watch a lot of that stuff to kind of get an idea of or research into those shows?
I did. There's like the dramatic cutaways, and there's always like, oh, they find something wrong with the place, like the little mouse scene. That's not
Uh-huh.
that you kind of wonder, like, was that there before they showed up? Or, and you wonder how all the how much of the TV magic is real, and how much of it was there when they showed up. And of course, it's a TV show. It's got to be dramatic, and I didn't want to put anything in the book that was like too like awful.
right.
We're not gonna,
Yeah.
have them drop a tree on anybody or, dun dun dun, cut to commercial. But there's a little. You're right about Alexandra and her villainous.
Yeah, I did like
Got
her.
that
Yeah.
couple little things that she does that weren't necessarily there when she got there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be like a trading spaces thing where like you end up with straw on your wall or something like
All
that.
of your furniture is made out of cardboard, right?
I
Yeah.
used to love that show.
I did. What is it? They got like a $500 budget, wasn't it? And then they had to switch houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really cheap. It was like $1,000, I think, or something.
And then
I don't know.
sometimes it would turn out really good. And sometimes you're right. You would end up with like bubble wrap curtains and, they would be like
what? And I would just love it because I would think when those people leave and now they have to still be neighbors thinking you did this to my house.
mm-hmm.
Like, how is that?
Yeah.
You are hiring the rescue crew that's going to come and get rid of all this
That's gonna come
madness.
in here and take this lime green paint off my walls.
It was particularly Hildy that was just a nightmare. She's putting like, she did the straw on the walls, and there was furniture on the ceiling at one point.
Oh my gosh, I missed those.
She is
I
insane.
remember the straw one. I do remember the straw
Yeah.
one.
I thought you were joking.
No.
She's over there stapling straw to
real
the wall.
thing.
I mean, it was intense.
She turned one room into like a circus tent. It's madness. She's insane.
I'm gonna look it up.
Which makes for good TV, but I would be so nervous. Like the ones that were good, that you'd be like, oh, whew.
Right.
Or like Vern, you knew that it was going to be okay. Everything's, but I have to say they rebooted the show, and I watched it, and I was just kind of like, I moved on. The show, like it was kind of boring for me because I just think when it first came out there were so few shows like that, and so it had a certain spark, and there was something about it with the reboot, for me at least, that felt a little played out.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, she is definitely the one that was insane.
Yeah.
Crazy. But anyway, so yeah, it's interesting how it's interesting how you captured the whole thing of like the sort of how they set up the reveal, and they actually showed it to them, and then they did it again, and they had to recreate all of their sort of responses and their actions, and that was interesting. And so there were a lot of fun little sort of reality. I could tell that you had done your research because there were a lot of fun little sort of reality TV kind of moments in there.
Yeah, it was fun to pull back the veil and see
Yeah.
what goes on there. But in terms of like the main two, like Delaney and Wyatt, it's like, are they people that you know in real life?
They are not people that I know in real life. Sorry.
Okay.
That's always my favorite. I'm like, who is it in your real life? Okay, so
Sorry.
totally making you scratch. No, that's
They're
okay.
just people in my head.
Well,
So
that's good too, though.
Yeah.
yeah, so what were you trying to kind of go after with both Delaney and Wyatt in sort of their characters? If you didn't have a person that you were kind of thinking of, or what was your goal with the characters?
Well, just, they're both kind of at a point in their lives where, Wyatt's been running his parents' business, and time has passed. They had a bypass that got built that doesn't let people off directly to Cabins in the Pines like it used to when his parents ran it. And he's kind of at, a little bit of a crossroads. His parents have passed away, unfortunately, in a car accident, and he's shouldered with this responsibility of running a place that used to be, just an escape for him. He would come as a child, he would come as a teenager, or, even as a young adult, he's off, doing his thing. And this is kind of an escape for him. And then as an adult, it becomes his responsibility. And, it's a lot of responsibility, not just because of the running of the day-to-day business, but because, that's the legacy of two people that he loved very much that he lost. And,
Right.
And Delaney, being his best friend since childhood, she has a child and has gone off again and had her own life in the past, gotten married, had a child, had a whole life outside of, their idyllic childhood together, and has come back. And Wyatt's parents actually gave her a place to a soft place to land when she got her divorce, and her daughter Rachel and she kind of got absorbed into the Pines family. And again, a lot of responsibility, and Delaney feels very responsible, not just for the Pines, but for all her day-to-day stuff involving the staff at the Pines, because again, they're like a family. And then she has her daughter, and she has all the responsibilities of being a single mother. And so with Wyatt and Delaney, I just saw two people who have a lot of life going on, and they have this relationship together where they've been friends since they were children. And of course, people change as they grow up, and a lot of stuff has changed with them personally, with their lives, but they're kind of always there for each other.
Yeah.
And there's that element with them where, just like the Pines, if they take that leap and if they make it something different, is it going to change the essence of what they have? And is that soft place to land going to go away, if they take the
Right.
risk? So, and again, so many other balls in the air and so much other stuff to consider. Will their relationship affect the business? Is the reality TV show going to affect the business to the point where they're not able to work together every day? And if they don't see each other every day, like, what does that mean, and how does that feel? And it's just it's a very complicated mix. And I just saw them as kind of very real people trying to wade through a whole lot of pressure and a whole lot of stress and kind of keep a family together, and figure out somewhere, in there, if it's really love, and if they can really make it work, and in the end, if they're really willing to just even take the chance.
Yeah.
Well, I love these two, and I will say that as a whole, the entire, uh, Pines, Cabins in the Pines family, I absolutely loved them. I was like, I want to be there with them. Like the way they all interacted with each other. They were just so lovely. They were just so caring. And even when they were just kind of like, you could tell that there were times that they would probably get irritated with each other. They were all very, very loyal, and they all played a part, and I just loved it. And especially I loved the daughter because she's the same age as my two daughters. And so it was nice to see. I was just like, yeah, this is basically right where I'm heading in terms of, how she is phone,
Oh gosh.
computer,
Yeah.
but we're trying to struggle to let her have that independence, phone and computer, like have my daughters, but at the same time, let's get out, let's do stuff. So it was, I really loved Rachel. I really loved the relationship between Rachel and Delaney. I also loved, I will tell you this, the fake reality show within the reality show, Love Struck High.
Did you love that? I
I
love
mean,
Love Struck High.
I need to know more about Scott, the poetry writing jock that has a
No,
cafe.
but he's just pining. Okay, Scott has feelings.
Yeah, I was
He has a lot of
super
deep
into that. I was
feelings,
like,
but
I
he
need to
can't
know
let them
more
out.
about Scott.
Yeah, he can't. He has to maintain his, popular kid status, and he can't let it out. But he's got feelings. Okay.
I mean, he does. And I was like, I would sit there and watch Love Struck High with my daughters. I'd be like, yes, well, let's
Right.
do it.
Right.
Marathon. So.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. That was so much fun. And then I kept finding places to put it in, and I was cracking myself up.
That's
Like,
awesome.
I'd be patting my husband, being like, no, look, I put it in there again.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I
Seriously,
did. I
but
enjoyed
after
all of
yeah,
those.
after Rachel is sick, and then she's at they're at Delaney's house, and she's sitting on the couch, kind of recuperating from getting sick, and she's sitting there with Ursula, and they're just crying over the poetry on the fake reality show within the reality show, and
even Ursula gets into it. She's like, wait, he doesn't know? She doesn't know that he loves her? And I'm like,
doesn't know that he loves her, right?
Yes, I loved every single part of that. That was awesome.
Oh my gosh, I would crack myself up just finding places to keep mentioning that fake reality show.
I loved it.
Aside from the fake reality show that's already in the book, that was
right.
fun.
Yeah, that's so funny. I feel like it literally could be I think both of these shows could be like successful.
Yeah,
I really do. That is really cool. So did you have an idea of like who out of the Hallmark pantheon of actors would play Delaney and Wyatt?
I absolutely do. So this is so hilarious. We're bringing this full circle, guys. Okay,
I'm so excited about this.
Yeah. Hold on to your thing. So Wyatt is going to be. My wife is Andrew Walker, guys. I'm not even kidding. I just answered interview questions on this like this week, and I would love it if Sarah Lancaster was Delaney.
That is the same person that I was going to
say. Stop.
Yeah.
Shut the front door.
So good.
Oh, I love that you say that because I say that too. Those are good.
But my dude that I would definitely pick is Wes Brown. I think he's great as Wyatt. Yeah.
Mine would, I don't know.
He's got a little bit more of a cowboy, I think, persona than Andrew Walker does. Like Andrew Walker's the best, so he'd be great.
I just need him to like quit shaving for just a couple days and then show up and be Wyatt.
Okay.
But beards are villains in Hallmark.
No. I'm not saying like a full beard, like a 5 o'clock shadow.
Okay.
like a little between, like a 2-day. Yeah.
I need more. Yeah. Hallmark needs to get on board with just a little bit more. Yeah. But I actually
it goes with the plaid. You just need like a plaid or like an old khaki camp shirt, just a couple days of beard growth, a little bit of it, and it's perfect.
And I feel like Wes and Sarah would have good chemistry. Like I feel like Wes and Sarah would have good chemistry between the two of them, and I think she's so good with kids, and I think she's one of the best actresses I think in the whole family.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it would be good.
We're gonna have to put this up. We're gonna have to like social media.
Yes.
Can I say mine?
Yes, please.
Oh, we're waiting.
Okay, I'm like, can I say mine? Okay, so for Wyatt, I don't know why, because sometimes it just pops in your head and then you just can't get rid of it. Do you remember the summer one, Love on Safari?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
That lead guy, John Core, he just kept popping in my head, and I think it was just his hair, because it was like, it was sun-kissed. And then for the woman, for some reason, I kept going to Lisa Drupp.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I just picture her blonde, though.
Oh, she can go blonde. She did blonde in
No, because Delaney's not blonde. I just picture her blonde.
Oh yeah, no, because she's got dark hair, and I was just like, she could do. I could dye her.
That would be fun to bump her up to leading lady status.
See, that's what I was trying to think of. Secondary characters that, like typical secondary characters that could, except for John Core, he's already been.
Yeah, that can work. That's very creative.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
I even thought of Megan Ori as Alex. There, I said it.
Oh,
she can pull off that sharp businesswoman.
Also, Jessica Lowndes would be amazing. She's so great at those kind of characters.
Yeah, she is. Okay.
Put that note down for Bill.
Yeah.
We got it already cast for you, Bill.
We're working so hard over here.
Yes.
You could have, maybe she's a little too young. I was going to say you could have Ava Grace Cooper play Rachel, but it would have to be a little bit younger.
Yeah.
But she's so cute.
Yeah, she is cute.
We're definitely, that's something that we'll definitely do on Twitter. I'm definitely going to once it comes out, going to open it up and who would you guys cast?
Yes.
So if you're out there and you've read Love on Location, pay attention to Twitter because we want to know who you would cast.
Oh yes. I'll be super excited for that.
Yeah, let us know on Twitter who would be your cast when you read it. So yeah, I really also really enjoyed the whole sort of scene by the lake where they're getting so close, like to finally saying it, but it's like not quite there, but it's building. That whole scene worked really well.
Oh, yeah, that's the best. Oh, the almost kiss is like the best in any like you're like, oh, they did it, and then something, oh, like I don't know, somebody slams the door, and you're like, just ignore the door and kiss.
Yeah.
It was a true Hallmark almost kiss, and I legit was like, oh, no, she didn't. She did. She took it away. But it was a good scene. It was really romantic.
It was really good.
Also,
sometimes
it's really difficult to talk about a book and not spoil it, guys.
I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Well, it's not really spoiling because there's an almost kiss in every single thing for Hallmark.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying I want to say so much more right now.
Okay. But yeah, sometimes it can be frustrating because it's just illogical. And I do like it when they give us an actual kiss because it's just like so exciting. But yeah, when it's done well, it can be really fun, and I think it was here. So do you think that Delaney and Wyatt will make a great couple? Do you see them lasting till till they're old together?
I do. Yeah. That's it's like a forever kind of love. They've been through, they knew each other as kids. They've been through, going off and finding themselves, and even in other relationships that didn't work out. And Wyatt in the book hasn't ever married at all. And so I think maybe inside a little, he was just waiting for Delaney to come back, and he was waiting for the universe to bring her back. And I see them as a little old couple on the front porch at the office, and the cabins in the pines, just rocking. But I don't know. I have sequel ideas for books, so maybe we'll see them again. Featured, not necessarily featuring them, but they might make an appearance. I have sequel ideas for some of the secondaries, but definitely, since it's a family there, you're always going to have your family pop back in. So
well, see, that's the nice thing about this. You could have a whole Cabin in the Pines series where each book is kind of about another couple to meet at the campground.
That's right. Oh, the next one, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give too much away.
Okay.
Just stay tuned.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. Well, you are amazing. We're so excited. We really enjoyed the book. But before we go, we want to give you what we call the Team Beat questions. Ooh. So these are these questions that Amber found in an old issue of Team Beat.
I'm sorry. I only accept questions from Bob.
Okay. Bob. All right. So you ready?
Yeah, okay. I think so.
All right. So first question, what's the best flavor of ice cream?
Oh gosh, guys, why do you do that to me? So I'm not a big sweets person, actually. Not that I don't like ice cream, but I would rather have like fries. But okay, let's think.
You could dip your fries in. I always love to go at Wendy's to get a Frosty.
Oh, get a Frosty and dip your fries in. Let's say, though, it's the middle of summer. I'm going to say butter pecan.
Ooh.
Yum.
That is good.
Yeah. All right. What is your favorite color?
Green.
Very, very on brand. For
no,
Hallmark.
Like mint green. Like, that soft kind of retro mint green.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, what music are you into right now?
Oh gosh, I listen to everything. There's a band called Mariana's Trench, and they just put an album out yesterday, and I'm completely obsessed with it. They're a Canadian rock band.
Okay,
cool.
I'll have to write that down. Make a note later. Okay.
Yeah. So, what is your go-to date night food?
You know what? I really like a good steak.
Yeah.
And if I'm going out, like, I probably want like steak and seafood.
Nice.
Yeah. I want somebody else to cook so that I don't have to do the dishes.
Plus, then your date is like legit. He's really invested.
That's right.
Steak and lobster.
That's right. It doesn't have to be lobster. It can be shrimp.
Very good. Yeah, that's my favorite as well.
To
get steak because it's just yummy and it's very neat and you're not going to spill. So, which I spill all the time.
Oh my gosh. You can tell. Yeah, you can tell what I had for lunch. Just look at my shirt.
Yeah. So what is your go-to date night activity when you're out doing
When I'm
stuff?
when I'm out doing stuff, I guess, I have 2
Or
kids.
in, whatever.
Yeah, my husband and I have like stay in dates a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. We watch a lot of movies. We watch a lot of old movies. Um, I don't know. A lot of our stay
Yeah.
in dates are just like the kids are asleep. Let's like sit on the couch and talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you've
Mhm.
ever tried to get a word in edgewise around a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, it doesn't happen.
No.
It's adult conversation doesn't occur until everybody else is asleep.
Yeah. I remember my aunt one day we were visiting her when her kids were still young, and my mom made some herbal tea, and my aunt sits down and she's like, "Ah, finally something that's not bright green, something that has herbs and I don't know." It's so
That's
funny.
true.
Oh my gosh.
That's very
Yeah.
true.
All right, very good. So dogs or cats?
Oof. I don't want to make anybody mad here, but dogs.
Yeah, yeah. All right, good. Beaches or mountains?
Ooh. Can I have a mountain with a lake?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It gotta have some kind of swimming for me.
Something.
It makes I don't know if anybody listened to our Sarah Plain and Tall episode, but I went to this, we kind of had a fight about it because there's this, down in southern Utah, there's this dude ranch thing, and I was miserable, but Amber like loved it. But I would have been fine if there had been a place to swim, but they had no place to swim, and so it was just so boring.
Yeah,
Like,
you
oh,
need the water. I need some water.
yes.
Just
Yeah.
lake and a tire swing and then mountains. So I'm going to pick mountains for that one.
Yeah, agreed. Yep. All right. Would you rather be in a fancy dress going out or home in your sweats?
At home in my sweats. Yeah.
All right. What is your
It's
favorite
nice to
holiday?
get fancy. It's nice, but
Yeah.
a lot of effort.
All right. What is your favorite holiday?
Mm, that's a hard one. That's a really hard one. I guess, I mean, like, who doesn't love Christmas?
Yeah. It's tough to beat. It's just really tough to beat
Christmas. I'm thinking like Valentine's Day. No, you really only get one day. Christmas is like a whole season. Christmas is like a whole feeling, and like, yeah, I'm gonna pick Christmas. Let's go.
It's
Christmas.
like 3 months in the world
I
of
know.
Hallmark. So.
Although, I mean, I do get a little like calm down when it's like October 1st and I'm trying to go to Costco and there's Christmas trees there.
Yeah. I used to, but then I just was like, yeah, I can't fight that fight anymore. Not with Hallmark. Not being a Hallmark podcaster, I just had to let that go.
Yeah, I know. But it's good. I'm going to
Yeah.
pick Christmas because you get a lot more of it.
Very cool. All right, last question. And this is very difficult, but what is your favorite Hallmark movie?
That is a really hard one. I'm going to go with recent favorite because I have so many favorites in the old ones. I really liked Love, Romance, and Chocolate.
Oh, very recent.
It was so cute. Just like the setting and like, I don't know, the cast was perfect. And I'll put some of my older Hallmark favorites up on Twitter. So in case there's some that maybe you guys haven't, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen any, but in case your listeners haven't seen some of the older ones that are like my picks, they can kind of see if they can go find them on DVD. But no, of the recent ones, I really, really liked that one.
Yeah, that one was really good. I really liked the love triangle because I just thought both of the guys were very dreamy.
Oh yeah, that cast was great. And then I was like, when she went into the kind of competing chocolate shop and she was sampling all the unusual chocolates and she ate one and she was like, "What is that?" He goes, "Sweet potato." I was like, you know what? That's a chocolate I could get behind. I would eat a sweet potato chocolate.
Yeah, some of the flavor comment, particularly the lavender, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I just think of like I picture like bubble bath like in chocolate, and that wasn't.
That's
really work.
Is tastes like soap. I don't want that on my chocolate. Get rid of
Yeah. But I could go with the sweet potato. I would try that.
Yeah. That's respectable flavor combinations. Sometimes they get a little creative here at Hallmark with their flavors. But very cool. That's a great answer. So you did it. You passed the test, the TV test.
Yay!
So you can keep writing Hallmark books.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I thought it was going to be a little more traumatic, but it was a lot of fun.
I'm glad. That's
Well, I
always
was
good
so
to hear.
nervous. You guys are so awesome, and everybody has so much fun on here. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to come on, and I'm super stoked to have hung out with you. And I will come back anytime.
All right. Well, we'll definitely have you on again. So how can people reach you as far as social media and all that fun stuff?
So I'm just getting started up on Facebook. I'm a little behind on that. I do have a Facebook profile, and I'll post my social media links on Twitter, which is where I am most active right now. Website is CassidyCarter.com. It's undergoing a little bit of an overhaul this week, pre-release. And the easiest way to get me is on Twitter. I'll have all my social media links up on my website and operational here again in the next couple of days. Stuff kind of might be off and on, but yeah, definitely follow me on Twitter, find me on Facebook, and I really love to talk to readers. Any of the Hallmarkies fans, I religiously follow all the hashtags, and so you'll see me constantly on there liking like everything.
Do you have any events coming up for your, like live events coming up for your book?
I do. This month, March the 24th, I will be at the Barnes & Noble in Phoenix, Arizona, the Desert Ridge location. I'm going to be doing a writing workshop with Stacey Donovan, the director of Hallmark Publishing. We're going to be doing a free writing workshop there, and then a signing of Love on Location. So see, now you guys are going to make me make a list. So I'm going to post that up on my Twitter. So if anybody's looking for the link to that, I'll put the link directly to the Barnes & Noble event page for that. And yeah, so if anybody's in the Phoenix area, it's going to be really fun. I'm excited. It's a big store. I went down last week and checked out the signing spot, and it's really beautiful. It's in this big rotunda, of course, surrounded by bookshelves, and it's really pretty. So,
and where's that at?
It's going to be at the Barnes & Noble here in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Desert Ridge location. Yeah, I'm going to put up the actual listing from Barnes & Noble on Twitter as soon as we're finished.
Cool. And we'll try to put that in the description section as well if people are interested in that. And so, Lisa, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Girl Gone Hallmark.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and YouTube and all over social media. Please check that out. And make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and all over social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, and then please give us your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate it. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and a subscription. We really appreciate that. So thanks so much, Cassidy. This was really fun. It was just such a treat to read your book. And congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys having me on. And now we all have to get to work on the movie campaign, right?
Yes.
And with our pre-casting.
Yes.
And so we'll all take this outside of the podcast for our plans, right?
Yeah, we got to let Sarah Lancaster know right away.
Let them know.
Somebody just call them. Just let them know.
Yeah.
Right now. They need to clear their schedules.
Very good. Well, thanks again, and we will talk again soon.
Okay,
bye.
Bye.